Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to continue to have a look at the latest on the cold spell, which is now coming to an end for most areas. For areas in the south, it is already at its end. Could still see some cold weather over the next couple of days, but most likely nothing too severe other than maybe a few overnight frosts. But further northwards, it is going to continue before eventually completely coming to an end around Wednesday time. We still could have disruptive snowfall, especially through this evening, tomorrow, and perhaps again on Wednesday over higher routes in northern areas and perhaps even to low-lying areas at times. But the milder air is now pushing in and is going to bring lots of precipitation, which most will be falling as rain or a mix, but in some areas will continue to fall as snow until around Wednesday time, and we could see totals really mounting up. Now, last night and through most of yesterday, we did see some really heavy snow in places in the north. You may have seen news reports from Cumbria where we've seen about a foot of snow in a small area, and that's because we did see a streamer set up there, basically giving about 6 hours of heavy snow continuously with no break. Elsewhere, we didn't see that much snow, but we saw widely 2 or 3 centimetres across much of the North Midlands into North England and North Wales, and we did see locally a few areas seeing as much as 5 to 10 centimetres, as we see some very heavy snowfall rates at times last night. But milder air, as I said, is moving in. We'll have a look at the latest from the weather warnings, what the various precipitation charts are showing over the next few days, and of course keeping up to date on the longer term, as yes, it is going to be turning a lot milder for all from Wednesday with lots of wet and windy weather, but there are already signs things could turn colder once again for around the middle of the month towards the Christmas period perhaps. Longer-term weather patterns are definitely suggesting that the risk of more blocked cold weather will increase from around the middle of the month. So it's going to be very interesting watching that once again and seeing if this sort of cold spell we've just seen now is a bit of a teaser to perhaps a more prolonged and snowier spell towards the middle to end of the month, or whether this is our cold spell until maybe into the new year. So we will just have to see, but we'll keep you up to date with the longer term in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see we've got an area of wet weather moving in at the moment with some snow mixed in it. Now, across the far south, we're all in the milder air, so it does mean that it is all falling as cold rain, i.e. temperatures at the surface still pretty chilly, only 5 or 6 degrees for many, but the upper air temperatures are now around average for the time of year, which will produce rain. Further northwards, across parts of North Wales, over the higher ground, we are still seeing snow falling there, and across parts of northern England, even into parts of the Midlands, seeing a bit of mixing here. Again, I wouldn't take these precipitation types too literally, but this is a rough idea where we are seeing snow at the moment. A lot of these areas across the Midlands did see lots of heavy snow last night, and will be probably still have a blanket of snow across the ground at the moment, but it will be getting washed away by rainfall at this stage. But those higher routes up towards Yorkshire, northern England, and of course into Cumbria, over the coming hours, snow will continue to fall and could continue to mount up. It will be marginal in many areas. The higher you are, of course, the more likely it will be snow, but it will continue to mount up in many of these areas. Even here across Yorkshire, I wouldn't be surprised to see another few centimetres of snow at least, even to low-lying areas for a time through the rest of this afternoon and evening. Further northwards, still in the very cold air, so less showers around, but still a few coming in off the east coast. But all the showers still falling as snow inland, and it is still freezing cold with probably an ice day for many in these areas. If we look at the temperatures, as of around 3 p.m. in the afternoon, you can see about Midlands southwards we're in the milder air, or generally average air, around the sort of 5 to 7 degree mark. Across the Midlands is where we're seeing the transition, bit of sleet, rain and snow, and then further northwards up towards Scotland and the far north of England, still bitterly cold. And remember, these are the peak temperatures of the day around the 3 p.m. point, so it's not going to get much milder than this until that milder air properly moves in. Now, if you do look at the past 24-hour precipitation, past 24-hour snowfall, you'll be able to see we've seen quite extensive snow, actually more snow than we anticipated yesterday. The event was actually quite a bit more widespread for northern areas and quite a bit more intense than we initially thought. So yes, some people of course will be disappointed. Many of those areas in southern England have seen no snow from this spell. And again, that's unfortunate if you do enjoy snow, but there has been quite a bit around for northern areas, definitely quite a bit more widespread snowy conditions than we thought a few days ago, where we thought would be a small feature, then actually developed into quite a large area of snow last night. If we do start for that area across Cumbria, this is where we've seen about a foot of snow. It is extremely localised just to this area here, where we did see a snow streamer coming in straight off the Irish Sea. So it's not widespread. We did see widespread a few centimetres here, but really it is just this area towards sort of Windermere. That's where a lot of the reports have seen on the news coming out of, where we have seen lots of heavy snow. But it just shows you what can happen when we do see these snow streamers set up. And that's why whenever we talk about streamers, some people may just think, oh, it's just a few showers coming in. But this is the effects it can have when we see them properly line up, and we see some proper convection taking place. And this is the sort of pattern we saw with the beast from the east, and what we can see with very strong easterly winds. We saw it set up here as that disturbance moved in. So again, very interesting seeing that very localised, severe amount of snow. You go 50 miles east, south or north, you see very little in terms of snow at all, maybe a couple of centimetres. Further southwards, this is where we see the general disturbance move through last night. We have seen quite a lot of heavy snow. Again, you see these purple areas over the Welsh mountains, of course, seeing most precipitation here, and of course all of it falling as snow over the higher ground. But you can see this area to the north of Stoke-on-Trent, and this real localised area just to the north of Lincoln. Now you may think, why is that shown up? And that is because this is where we saw really high precipitation rates, where the band, the disturbance really intensified, and we actually saw some extremely high precipitation rates here. Around 2 or 3 inches an hour of snow fell in this region. That's why this is showing around 10 to 20 centimetres of snow in a very small area, but nevertheless just shows you the impact of localised intense snowfall rates on what it can do. You see elsewhere, widespread sort of few centimetres of snow. Many areas, though, it is probably now melting away, thawed away completely in some regions, maybe still a bit of a dusting remaining. And of course, if you are in this area for around Yorkshire northwards, you're likely to see more snow, especially over the higher ground, through this evening into tomorrow and potentially once again on Wednesday. But areas further southwards, we've got a bit of a sprinkling of blues, and this is where we see a bit of mixed precipitation, even saw some freezing rain in some areas in the south, but now all the wintry hazards are really gone, apart from perhaps a couple of frosts, maybe Monday night, Tuesday night, potentially in these areas. Now, if you look at the weather warnings, again, Met Office haven't gone out too far yet, but you can see we've got an ice warning issued for many northern areas. Again, it's because it's very uncertain what exactly is going to be falling out of the sky. Rain, sleet, snow, or even freezing rain, and it is from 5 p.m. tonight until 12 p.m. tomorrow. Again, no major sort of snowfall totals, because again it is highly unpredictable exactly what is going to be happening. But you can see, as we saw in the live radar a minute ago, there is a mix of rain, sleet and snow in this yellow warning zone, and we will continue to see that in these areas over the coming hours. Further northwards, we've actually got a full-blown snow and ice warning issued for the same period, and again this is for showers coming in off the North Sea, because it's low that is in the south at the moment. As it pulls away, it is going to pull a batch of very cold easterly winds back in for about 24 hours or so. And that is going to give frost further southwards, but the risk of more snow further northwards and eastwards. Again, could see 5 to 10 centimetres of snow over hills, maybe a centimetre or two low-lying areas highlighted lower into the impact matrix. And if we move into Monday, these are the warnings we still have remaining. And then we have this yellow rain warning, because in the south, we're seeing much milder air push in, and we are going to see some very heavy rain from midnight tonight until 6 p.m. tomorrow. Again, could see 20 to 30 millimetres of rain falling widely, as much as 60 millimetres possible in a few areas. Again, high likelihood, lower end of the impact matrix. So yeah, some still wintry hazards in the north, but wet and windy hazards arriving further southwards. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you can see this is from 4 a.m. this morning. You can see the intense snowfall rates we saw in the east. They did move through very quickly, but the intense snowfall rates here did give that dumping in places. Elsewhere though, we're now seeing rain moving in through this afternoon, but snow still in the far north. Again, UKV has actually performed really badly in the past couple of days. The disturbance last night really wasn't picked up until the 3 p.m. run, and by the time that came out, the disturbance was arriving for many. And again, this 3 a.m. run really underdoing the precipitation we're seeing this afternoon. So yeah, really poor performance from the UKV in terms of its precipitation here. Its typing has got it reasonably correct, but I must say, yeah, the extent of the precipitation for the disturbance last night and for the rainfall at the moment has been very poor. And again, we'll have to take that into account when looking at this in the future for similar events which are likely to crop up throughout the winter. But as we progress through the afternoon, we continue to be able to see a bit of snow in the north, but as we head overnight tonight, a large area of rain is going to move in. So at the moment, it's kind of the preliminary rain for a proper big weather front moves in overnight tonight, giving mainly rain further southwards, but snow once again for northern parts of Wales and northern hills. Again, uncertainty exactly what the typing will be, but there is the risk of heavy snow again in places. Again, elevation will always help with that. As we move beyond that, this is where we see some really heavy rain across the southwest and where we've got that rain warning issued. And then through the rest of Monday, that rain slowly peters out, but it does just kind of spiral and stall, just giving on and off light to moderate rain. As we progress through Monday evening, that precipitation does pull away, and then we could start to see colder air filter back in. Probably not quick enough, it doesn't pull away quick enough to see a widespread frost, but could be localised. And on Tuesday's like to be a pretty cold day, only a couple of degrees above freezing in many areas. And then as we progress into Wednesday, a frost overnight before a big weather front arrives. And again, this is where we could see some heavy snow once again over northern hills into Scotland. But it's going to be a transient event as milder air is moving in for all, and we are likely to see any of that snow over higher ground turn to rain by Thursday, and we just see a barrage of low pressure systems. So if you have missed the wet and windy but milder weather, then it is coming towards the latter parts of this week. Now, if you look at the max temperatures, you can see through this afternoon, it is still cold even in the south, only sort of 6 or 7 degrees, but further northwards still around freezing and a nice day for many across northern England and Scotland. But overnight tonight, milder air will continue to try and push northwards, and you can see slowly it does get further northwards, and through Monday afternoon, most areas are above freezing apart from the far north of Scotland. Still cold though, widely sort of 3 to 7 degrees, but just not quite cold enough for snow. Through Monday night, again, could be see a bit of a frost in northern and western areas, but further south and eastwards, hovering around the 3 or 4 degree mark. And then into Tuesday afternoon, it actually doesn't get particularly warm at all. Still only sort of 4 to 7 degrees, feeling colder with that easterly winds coming in. Scotland still below freezing. So yes, turning milder further southwards through England and Wales and the Republic of Ireland, but for Scotland, it is going to remain proper wintry conditions. As we progress through Tuesday into Wednesday, a frost develops for many overnight, but into the afternoon, milder air pushing in, maybe only 3 or 4 degrees ahead of the weather front, but as it moves through, temperatures will rise, and by Thursday, you could even see the low teens in the southwest, and overnight temperatures not getting much below 8 or 9 degrees, so turning a lot milder as we do head towards the end of this working week. Now, we'll check up on the other precipitation charts. This might be the last day we do a full-blown update, just to keep an eye on what's happening with the snowfall. Again, as we progress through this afternoon, snow will continue to develop further northwards, and then as this snowfall moves in overnight tonight, again, some real quite heavy snow over higher ground inland North Wales and northern England. Will mix more, and there could be some further snow as cold air does get wrapped back within it on Monday. And then eventually, as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday, that weather front moving in, and we're likely to see some more leading edge snow with that. If you do have a look at the icon run, again, snow clearing the east through this morning, then more heavy snow moving in through this afternoon for northern areas, but elsewhere, again, quite a lot of uncertainty with the typings, but heavy rain for many through tonight. As that clears, we do see, again, easterly winds develop, as you can see the isobars here, and then we see another weather front arrive on Wednesday into Thursday, and again, with heavy snow in the north, but heavier rain elsewhere, before eventually all areas turning a lot milder and generally pretty horrible towards the end of the week. And finally, if we have a look at the ECWF chart, which did perform really quite well, I must say, with the precipitation typing and with the extent of the precipitation last night. You can see through this afternoon snow in northern areas once again. As it clears, could see a bit more back edge snow within it, and then again heavy snow on the leading edge of the system moving in on Thursday before eventually moving away, giving us more rain and generally horrible conditions, really, as we progress into next weekend. Now, if you do keep up to date with the longer term, you can see low pressure starting to come in from the west. And you can see low pressure's initially southerly tracked, and that's why we're still seeing snow further northwards, but widely it is going to turn milder, as I said, from around the middle to end of the week, with pretty strong low pressure systems moving in. But you see to our north, blocking never disappears. It does move into positions that doesn't favour colder weather, but as we progress beyond this, so towards 284 hours, high pressure is building up towards Scandinavia and trying to pull in colder air back in from the north and the east. Again, tentative signs that from around the middle of the month we could see high pressure dominate once again, and it could be once again in a pretty cold capacity. If we compare to the GEM, again, low pressure coming in for many southern areas over the coming days, southerly tracked, but more northerly tracked towards the latter part of the week. And again, look to our north, high pressure still dominates, and towards day 10, we're actually starting to draw a pretty cold northerly wind back in. High pressure ridging northwards, attempting to bring back that Arctic air. Again, have to keep a very close eye on it. No exact sort of pattern looks certain at this stage, but definitely suggestions as we head towards the middle of the month. We could see the risk of cold weather return once again, and it could sort of come into the lead up to Christmas and even during Christmas, perhaps, which is what some of the longer term models are thinking. If you do have a look at the ECMWF charts, again, low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, very unsettled and pretty horrible, stormy potentially at times, and then towards day 10, once again, high pressure ridging northwards. Now, initially, this actually does try and draw up a very mild southerly wind, but you can see very cold air. It's just to our northeast and a bit of a weird mishmash of cold air to the northeast and very warm air to our south. Again, colliding could give more rain or snow events, but generally it's in a pattern that could develop a lengthy cold spell as we do progress towards the middle to latter part of the month. So you can see all three models do go very unsettled, mild, wet and windy for at least a few days, even up towards sort of a week or so, but into the longer term, they're all suggesting perhaps high pressure blocking does make a return and does potentially turn us colder once again. And if you do look at the ensembles, we're definitely perhaps starting to see that suggestion here. Again, you can see London very up and down over the next week or so, but generally more around the average to slightly above average point. But as we progress towards the middle of the month, it does turn a little bit drier and more of those runs dipping back below the 1981-2020 mean, and some runs even going pretty cold as we do progress towards the middle of the month. Again, I must stress it is tentative science, nothing definitive, but definitely the risk is appearing there as we do progress towards the middle to latter part of December. And if we do look at the ECMWF ensembles, just to round out the video, again, similar pattern, generally around the average point, probably really just hovering around average over the next couple of weeks. There will be some very mild sectors, there will be some colder sectors like we're seeing towards the middle of this week, but again, nothing too crazy, nothing out of the ordinary in terms of air masses. Yes, and it could spawn some very stormy conditions, but generally the air masses are not going to be anything too exceptional. But again, longer term, more of those runs appearing to turn colder. Towards the middle of the month, again, nothing definitive, but just perhaps tentative signs that we could see a colder pattern favouring a return as we progress through December. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Make sure you do stay safe out there if you are still going to be impacted by the snow and the ice over the coming days. But for most, the wintry hazards are now starting to ease, and we're now seeing wet and windy hazards starting to re-emerge. So as I said, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.